Hello everyone, this is Guido Pelagos, and today I'm having a very special video for you. If you like cars, you're gonna like this video. Watch it until the end and enjoy yourself humongously about these four brands that will blow your mind. So have you ever asked yourself where the four rings from Audi come from? They're actually Auto Union. These were the brands Audi, in 1932 this was, DKW, Horch, which is the museum where we are now, and the Wanderer. So those four became the Auto Union, which at the end became Audi. So maybe I'll be corrected, but the DKW was like the entrance of the four. It was like the every man's car, and they made motorcycles as well. Then you had the Wanderer, which made more middle-class cars, nice cars, looking nice, affordable. Then you got Audi, which was like a little bit higher segment, more luxurious. And if you were really rich, then you would get yourself a Horch, because that was like the top of the bill. So this museum is actually made in an old industry hall, where they made it a factory hall. So this was the room of the originator of Horch and Audi. It even smells like 1930s. It smells like your grandmother's room, right? Like the house you got when you have old grandparents, where you got in, you smelled this wooden table and cloth. That is fun. With a look at the telephone. Okay, that last video was his secretary, I think, because this is his real room. And I think that's him at the end. And these doors are made of the same material as the cars. Now, the museum itself is just a marvel. It's the detailing everywhere is fantastic. It's accessible for everyone who wants to go there. It's in timelines, but on the other hand, it's not, because you can just walk around. You can get lost though, because the floor plan is, well, they have to give you an idea how the floor plan works. But, you know, everywhere you look, you see marvelous, beautiful cars. There's a chance that you miss a few cars. So, yeah, stick to the floor plan or have a look where you haven't been yet. But it really was a interesting way of watching at cars. It's the setup is nice, and it really is, like I said, a very beautiful car museum. I've been to the Mercedes-Benz Museum twice, in the old one and the new one, and I must say this one is maybe even better the way they put it up. Now, personally, I never really heard of Horch cars, but it's the origin of, for example, Audi. August Horch made the firm Horch, and he was thrown out by his own CEOs, and then he decided a few years later to make the brand Audi, which is the same as Horch, but then in Latin. It comes from audio, and they even had a joke in a Audi commercial saying, "Hör, da gibt's ein Audi." So in the end, they came together again, and they created Auto Union. And Auto Union became a huge factory and mark in Germany, and even in the rest of the world. They were big in auto racing, and they the biggest competition, of course, was Mercedes-Benz. And sometimes they won a rally and sometimes they lost a rally, but they became a huge name up until about 1965 when Volkswagen bought the whole auto union conglomerate. And Volkswagen eventually put up Audi again, and this is how we know it as today. And I see here that you're seeing twice the same 1 till 5 pictures. I think that's only 1 till 5, so don't worry about it, guys. Just watch on. The editing of this video took twice the amount of time I spent in the museum itself. It was a lot of work on my phone, because every number you see with the cars corresponds with a picture at the end of this video that you can see the specifications of. So if you really like one of these cars, you want to know more about it, go to the end of the video, find the number that corresponds with the number you see here, and then you'll be able to find your way on into the extra information and specifications of the car itself. Now, I don't have to tell you that's a lot of work to be done, but it makes it more interesting. And please let me know, which car did you like? And you just put a number in or the name of the car, let me know. Because there's so many cars, there's so many to choose from. Like this one is a beautiful car, and I'm just curious what you like for cars. And these cars all go to around 1960, 1965, ending with the Trabant, because they were produced also in East Germany. And it's like a spider in a web.
So this is a gas station from the early 20th century. Bikes here.
Eine weitere Episode erzählte mir August Horch von seinem engen Freund, dem Ingenieur Guido, der sich mit seinem 100 PS Audi auf einer Bahn durch Frankreich befand. Das waren Rennen über 10.000 Kilometer. Schöne saubere Leute. Mit dem Auto 10.000 Kilometer.
Wow, and this is a really nice museum. This is like watching an Indiana Jones film.
As you can see here, they just made a fantastic museum. Cars that belong in the same era, of course, together, but also with extra information. For example, there is information about the slave labor, prisoners of war, slave labor that was used for building these cars, but they put it a little bit aside, so you could, if you want to have the information, you can get it, but if you don't want to be exposed to it, you don't have to. It makes it honest, but not overly, oh, we're so guilty kind of a thing, because you're actually going to a car museum. You're not going to a World War II museum, to be honest, I think. Now, these cars are really nice because they have all these hidden axes and spades and all kinds of things they might need on the road. This is also really nice. They built kind of a street, a 1920s, 1930s street. So you actually walk down it. You'll see further on in the video more footage of it, moving footage. You can see that they are actually put all the shops in from that time. So a grocery store, a clothes store, and also a garage. So when you walk in it, it's just like you're walking in that era, seeing those cars on the street. It really makes for a very nice experience. So much better than just a flat surface with a few cars around with a little plate that says what it does and where it is from. It gives you a bit of an idea how these people drove in them and how their world was. Now, this is kind of a special car. It's one of the favorites of one of the hosts there. I shouldn't say supposed, because there are some guards, but there are some volunteer guys who used to work in the factories who walk around a few days a month to give you all the information you need. And they will give you so much more information than you know. But it's always nice to have some specialists and professionals walking around in the museum actually to tell you anything you want to know about these cars. Instead of just having an audio tour, you can just ask anyone to show you what is this, how does this work, and they'll tell you everything they know about the brand. So there's no need to read all the signs. Just get somebody to talk to you, and they're happy to talk to you. It's such a nice idea that they should do this more often in more museums. Now, this is actually how they made them, wood, and then they put the steel over it. Again, if you want to know more, check out the number and look at the back of the video. This is also a good example of how they put the situational stuff to show you how the car was in real life, or would be used in real life.
Now, personally, I like attention to detail. This is a door.
So then we go from this part to another part in the museum, and that's the racing part. Auto Union, like I said before, was a huge competitor to Mercedes-Benz, and they did all their best
That's
to
a shiny car.
make it as hard for Benz as they could.
And then for a lot of people, the real fun begins here. 1932 to now. This is the car sports. Look at that thing over there. We'll get there in a moment.
Because there used to be all kinds of races in Eastern Germany as well, you know, from Berlin to Leipzig to Berlin, I think, or there were Alp races or tours or 200-kilometer races, and normally they were more or less won by Mercedes, but Auto Union really made it going. And check this out, the way they did this with the filming, I think is fantastic.
Wettbewerb. Ein Rennen, welches Bernd Rosemeyer endgültig zur Legende macht. Die dritte Runde führte in einer Zeit von 9 Minuten und 56 Sekunden. Das ist das erste Mal, dass die berüchtigte Nordschleife in weniger als 10 Minuten gefahren wird.
Nürburgring.
Boxenstopp. Die Auto-Union-Mechaniker schaffen einen kompletten Reifenwechsel sowie Betankung des Fahrzeugs mit 200 Litern Kraftstoff in nur 25 Sekunden. Zum ersten Mal in der Geschichte überschreitet ein Fahrzeug die Geschwindigkeitsgrenze von 400 Kilometern pro Stunde auf einer normalen Straße. Am Lenkrad bei dieser Rekordfahrt Bernd Rosemeyer. Rosemeyer 1 Kilometer pro Stunde schneller als sein Konkurrent. Jetzt muss der neue Rekord auf der Rückfahrt bestätigt werden. Doch sein Wagen kommt von der Bahn ab und überschlägt sich. Für Bernd Rosemeyer kommt jede Hilfe zu spät. Einen zwischen Manfred von Brauchitsch auf Mercedes-Benz und Tazio Nuvolari mit dem Typ D Silberpfeil. Am Ende siegt Nuvolari mit nur 7 Sekunden Vorsprung. Es ist die ursprüngliche Pendelachse der Typen A bis C wird durch eine De Dion-Achse ersetzt, die wesentlich spurtreuer beim Ein- und Ausfedern ist. Die Tanks werden neben dem Fahrer angebracht, sodass das Fahrzeug um 17 cm gekürzt wird. Die unglaubliche Leistung von Mensch und Maschine, die Begeisterung der Massen und ja sogar die Opfer. All dies hat die Auto-Union-Renngeschichte zum Mythos gemacht. Ein Mythos, welcher bis heute andauert. Der Mythos der Auto-Union Silberpfeile.
Gibt es nicht noch original, nur im Nordteil, ja, aber ohne Motor. Und genau mit der.
And this is a more modern part of the museum. Post-war, new curves. Here you can see a sink actually on the left side of the car. This is a prototype. I really love this car, the way it looked, but there was only 6 made and this was a find and probably the only one left in the whole world. I don't know why, but the volunteer mechanic who worked there, he said it was almost impossible to get that repaired.
Like a real one, probably found somewhere. Battered up, completely used. Unrestored. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. And then, of course, a very well-known car, the Trabant. Love to call it a limousine, 1958. Now, I think at the end of the video, you will see all the specifications of the pictures that you have seen before. So just enjoy it. At the end, you can mark all the pictures back to what it actually is. So they did some cooperations as well. And of course, now if I'm not mistaken, they smuggled the guy in the underneath here from East to West Germany. This is a small car. And an original 1958. And they made it such a nice museum that they made it like an old street. with old buildings, with an old bike, and the cars. And the street continues, you know, this grocery stop. Kleidung shop. Just walking down the street in 1920s. So this was Trabant number 1 million, made in the DDR. I think this was the P or T60.
And it actually surprised me how many versions and prototypes there have been built of these cars. Now, maybe under another name, or maybe under the same name but a different prototype. But it's really, really good to see all these different versions and even attempts of Western-looking cars, and they really succeeded, I think.
Oh, look at this thing! Wow! Used at the Tour de France. Holy, that is a shiny thing. Oh, well, it's not the Tour de France, but it's a cycling thing.
Now, this was one of my personal favorites, an Auto Union Audi from 1964, 1965. Just fantastic.
Wow, look at this beauty.
Now, during editing, a few mistakes were made, so yeah, you might see a different number, but it should correspond in the end.
This is still a car I remember from my youth. The Audi Quattro. This one is from, 1984. I was 6 years old. For the people who've seen Top Gear, this is a small car. No, this is the oldest one in the museum. This is an oldie. sit on the back. And then the campers. It's so nice they made this uphill. Makes it just so realistic. It's a museum, they really made a good effort. It's just really, really nicely done here. Or you just go fishing. Like I said, I just love the detailing. It just continues. You can go through the back here. There's two Germans a little bit loud, but you know, that's what they do. Oh, toilet. Really? I think they put this in here that nobody puts a real one in. How nice. I just love the way they made everything in the date. Look, it's just games there, world receiver, old barbecue, stuff hanging to dry, and you come in, look at that. It doesn't get any more East German, does it? Holy shit, this is nice. Old television. This was luxury. They made such a nice atmosphere.
Now here we go into the factory floor. Now all these machines say nothing to me, but for people who are into mechanics, they'll probably love this part of the museum because all the originals were already there, so they just let them stand and just change them up a bit, put them in order, clean them up, and show you how they work. This was a washing part for the mechanics because it's a bit of a dirty job at some points. It's really interesting and impressive to see, although I don't know where all these machines were for. I really enjoyed this part of the museum as well.
Engine testing.
Here are a few Horch and Audi engines. There are a lot of engines on display, so if you're an engine lover, you'd really like this as well. You probably know every single bolt on there and be amazed how they did it in those days.
So you looked at a dashboard in the 1920s and 30s a little bit different. This is the way they made Europlast. Rally versions of the Trabant. Military States cars. Why you never should bring any babies to a museum. Hear the background. Microphones. Big antennas.
Yes, and another car we all know and has been built in East Germany as well for a while, the Golf. This is a Golf 1 original. I think it's better than the last version of it.
Also quite common, the Polo from 1990. Man, I've seen a lot of those. They were very popular. Now that's an idea. How about that for a camper wagon? Huh? You could do that. Is a 1965 solution. Just build your tent on top of your Trabant.
So we're nearing the end of the video and I hope you liked it. Check out the numbers at the back and let me know which one you like.
I remember when I worked at ING headquarters in Amsterdam, the CEOs, they were driven in a Phaeton. And I love these cars, they're so beautiful. And this one is a Polizei one. Now, they seem to be real shots. Gruber's little tank. So this is a Trabant that you can actually use. You can start it. It teaches you how to drive one, and you can just get in, drive around in a Trabant. Really nice. Bad thing, people take kids to museums. They broke it today, so the Techniker has to come. You can see how people use that stuff. So yeah, it's the way it is. So it's not going to happen today. Maybe next time I'm here when there are no kids breaking everything.
Go to this museum. It's absolutely awesome. So this is the part where you can see all the specifications. Now, of course, I took photos of the signs and I did that quickly because I had enough to watch further on. So I cropped them up later. Where I could, I took the German part off so you could see the English part. Where I couldn't, I let both in. So here some of them, like here, some of them will be very clear to see. Otherwise, others you have to put a little bit more effort into focusing on what it actually says. Just freeze the frame. Get two browsers up, one with the picture of the car, one with the specifications. You can get them next to each other. Again, let me know in the comments what is your favorite car. What did you think of the video? It was a hell of a video to edit. There's some errors in it. If you find an error, put it in the comments so other people can see what the error is. I tried to correct the errors I found out during editing, but there's a very good chance that there's one or two errors in there anyway. And otherwise, have a good look. If it's not the number, it's probably the number before or after. And if you're a bit of a car enthusiast, you'll probably be able to see which one it is. Now, this, again, I keep saying it, the museum itself was just fantastic. I've seen many museums. I've been in quite several car museums, even though I'm not really a car lover. I love those old cars. And this one, like you see in the video, the detailing was so nice. The situational positioning of the cars in the museum was really nice. The floor plan was kind of chaotic, but I think you can't not really prevent that, because it's just all those time frames, all those different ways, like categories of roadster cars, race cars, public cars, used car use for firemen or policemen. So you can't really you have to choose a kind of a segment, and they just got us all through there. So the museum is situated in Zwickau. That is in the east-south German part of East Germany. It's not that far of a drive. If you really want to see it, you can just take a plane, go to Munich. Munich, it might be a little bit further off, but you could go to Dresden, for example, and rent a car or whatever. You can get there. Zwickau is a nice town. You can park there for free at the museum. There's a gift shop, which is quite expensive, but there's a small gift shop if you're interested in it. You're free to film. You're free to take pictures. So, and a film like this is only to get people warm to go to that museum. All the pictures here don't do it justice. You have to see these cars in person. The way they shine, even the way they sound. They got some on display. There's only so much you can see from a picture. And I think hopefully this video showed you a little bit about how big the auto industry in Germany is, because I never heard of Horch, and I never really heard about the Auto Union as well. Now, I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to cars, but everybody knows Daimler, everybody knows Benz, but not many people have heard of August Horch. And he was a big guy in the industry, maybe even the biggest, I don't know. But yeah, if you get the chance, I prefer this museum over many other cars museum I've seen. So go here, have fun. Hope you liked the video, and hope you appreciate the effort I put into this to make this video happen. Cheers, guys. Ciao, bye.